Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. You'll have to forgive me. I've always thought that when you show up to Toastmasters and you give a speech on good public speaking, that you're cheating in some way. It's kind of like the tennis player that shows up to practice and talks about the virtue of the game. Really doesn't. We're all there for a reason. You clearly understand the importance of speaking. But I'm going to do that right off the bat. I also want to thank Wes, because his speech was so abstract. My speech is going to seem straightforward, so I appreciate that. Now, clearly, we are all here because we want to be better public speakers. And what I want to talk about tonight is why we like a great speech. Now, one of the great things about Toastmasters is it gives us structure. We have a beginning manual, and the first speech tells us how to organize a speech. The second section talks about eye contact, and then you get another section about getting to the point. And eventually, by the time you get to the beginner's manual, you have an element of public speaking that you all integrate together and put together a nice cohesive speech at the end. But I want to take a step back and say, what was it about this speaker maybe you saw on TV that inspired you to become a better speaker? Or what was it about a person at work that you looked at one day and just, God, this person just really knows how to speak. I would love to have some of that. And so to do that, what I want to talk about is a theory I have about people. We have two tracks in life. The first track is what I call the daily track. And the daily track is very much about the things we do every day. We go to work, we see our wife, our husband, our girlfriend, whoever. We rush to pick up the kids. We're always busy. It's always in our Franklin planner. There's always some sort of pressure of time and space and trying to be at two places at once. That's very much the daily track. Now, the daily track can be a good one. You can have the best of times. You can have a wonderful evening with your significant other. You can have a joyous occasion with your kid, or you can just be driven nuts by something completely frustrating a day. So you can have a great life, but you're always under pressure, and you're always seeing the world in the context of your little bubble. Now, at the same time, you have this eternal track. This eternal track is about things that are much bigger. They're about ideas that no matter where you live in the world, no matter where you're born, you can relate to. There's these big ideas. And all of us, to some extent, yearn to get to this eternal track. But we just can't, because we're just stuck on this daily track every single day. Now, we may go into Starbucks one day, and the person making our cappuccino may take too long, and we get angry. And the reason why we get angry is not because they took too long to make our cappuccino, but we're frustrated. We're frustrated about not having enough time to free us up to do the things that were really meaningful for us in life. Now they're wasting more time that we don't even have, so we get mad. Now every once in a while, we break out of the daily track. We see the eternal track, and I'll give you two examples. In 1969, man landed on the moon. And at that moment, when those astronauts, Armstrong was on that moon, and he looked down. He traveled up as an American, but he looked down, and all he saw was the globe. He didn't really see the United States. He didn't really see Russia. He didn't really see China. He just saw Earth in the context of something much, much bigger. And at the same time, all of the kids, regardless of what country they're in, United States, Russia, China, Korea, sat cross-legged, looking into the flicker of a black and white TV, and all they saw was themselves, sitting on this moon. Now, at that moment, literally everyone dropped everything they did that day. They didn't think about work. They didn't think about anything. They just thought about, wow, that little speck up in the sky just yesterday, one of us are on it. Doesn't matter if he's American, Chinese, or whatever. That's a moment of going to the eternal. Now, you might be traveling in a third world country, and you might have $5 in your pocket. You might give it to someone, and you realize at that second, $5 means nothing to me. But it just completely changed this person's life. All of a sudden, you've gone from being the American that gets on an airplane and travels somewhere for 2 weeks in your allotted vacation each year to something much, much bigger. So these are examples of what people yearn to go to, but you never can because you're always stuck in this daily track. So, why do people like great speakers? Is it because they make good eye contact? Is it because they have zero ums? Is it because their speeches are well structured? Sure. Those all help. But the reason why powerful speakers are powerful is because they, in one speech, they can literally take you from the daily track to the eternal track. They can tell a story. They can relate a personal experience. They can connect little things in life to this much bigger idea. When the president speaks about healthcare, he doesn't speak about healthcare policy. He speaks about the justice of healthcare for everyone. If someone gives a speech about a man on a bench, there's got to be something bigger to that, right? If it's feebly delivered, at least try to give something bigger. So the lesson from this speech is eye contact, all of that stuff's important. But what you'll find is if you aspire to have a bigger message, that people will forgive you for the ums. They will forgive you for the eye contact. That's what makes a really good speaker good. So when you come to Toastmasters, you give a speech, keep that in mind. Don't worry so much about getting all the tactical pieces together just right. Ask yourself, what do I really stand for? What is this universal message I can give to this audience so that they can leave the daily track for the eternal track? Mr. Toastmaster.